supporter, you get an extra entry automatically. So that's 2 entries for doing one thing. 2 for 1 is always a great deal. And if you're curious about what Patreon is, let me tell you about that. Patreon is a virtual tipping and rewards website, and what that does is that allows you to toss a few bucks if you think we're doing a good job, and then in turn we can toss you some things too to say thank you. So we've got a few supporter tiers that we have set up that people can take advantage of. We have a $1 tier, which will get you a shout out on our show, and we'll say thank you, and we'll say you're awesome and great, and we'll say all kinds of very nice things about you. If you would like to toss us $5 a month, then that's going to get you a shout out and kind words, plus your chance to promote anything that you'd like to promote on the show. And then we have a $10 tier, which comes with the benefits from the first 2 tiers, plus 1-hour gaming session each and every week with the host or hosts of your choice. We just did a PS4 game night, a rare PS4 game night with the illustrious Dutchman, aka Chad Viss, and Mr. Evan Steele, and Mr. Paco Steele, and Mr. Jordan Steele.
All the Steels.
And my brother joined us.
What a surprise, huh?
I didn't even know that he had a PS4. And it was a lot of fun. We played lots and lots of Rocket League. And it was pretty cool. So speaking of some cool people, as I mentioned before, Mr. Evan, man, I'm on it with the segues today. I mentioned Evan Steele. He was our very first and is our very first Patreon supporter. So thank you very much to Mr. Evan Steele. He's awesome. He's a great guy, super handsome, funny as all get out. He's just very smart. This guy is just an all-around 10, just in every area. Love that guy to death. He's great. So thank you, Mr. Evan Steele. Also supporting us is Mr. Paco Steele at the $10 tier. Paco is what people call him. His real name is Jake, in case anybody that knows him was confused. And then we also have the very wonderful and beautiful and gorgeous and lovely and smells real nice Cecilia Margot Choi.
I'll allow it.
Sure. And she's also at the $10 tier, so she gets the game with me when she wants. Sometimes she wants to, sometimes she doesn't. That's all right. Because when she wants to, it's usually Tetris, and I usually lose. So, and we're sponsored this week, and it's a pretty cool sponsor. We're sponsored by.
Did you miss one $10 person?
Did I? Oh, and yes. Wait, you know him, Chad.
Yes, Andrew
Complin. Yes, I could think of the last name, but I couldn't think of the first name. Andrew Complin is also on the $10 tier, our brand new Patreon supporter, and I'm very sorry, Andrew, that I almost missed you. It won't happen again. Andrew's also super smart and a great guy. Love him too. And so we're sponsored, and our sponsor is pretty cool. It's the East Coast Candle Co. That can be found at eastcoastcandleco.com. They are America's premier provider of hand-poured soy candles, and they're pretty great. Chad's got one of them. He got
here. Look
the
at
coffee one.
Some fire.
Yeah. It's going.
It's on fire right now. It smells all coffee-ish in here.
Look at that.
Huh?
Yeah. So Chad got the coffee scent, but if you're not into coffee, if you're not into coffee, I don't understand you as a person. But they have other scents. If you want something else, they've got lavender mint. They've got fresh apple. They've got sweet grapefruit, tobacco and teakwood, northern pine, clothesline, oak moss and amber, bonfire. And if you love their products and you're like, man, these guys are great, they even have a t-shirt that you can wear to help them get the word out. And it looks real cool. It's got like the outline of the East Coast of the United States, and it says East Coast Candle Co. in real cool font. It's pretty cool. They're great people, so you should check them out. And if you check them out and at checkout, if you enter the code SDGamer, you're going to get 20% off of your purchase. That's right, folks. The premier provider of hand-poured soy candles in America is offering you 20% off of their products just for typing in some letters.
It's a pretty good deal.
So you should do it. So check them out, eastcoastcandleco.com. And we're also sponsored by somebody else, Chad Viss.
Sarah Complin Daycare. Andrew's wife has a daycare that she runs out here in South Dakota, in Flandreau, South Dakota, where the real big casino is. In that town, she has a daycare that she runs, and they have a few openings. So if you live in eastern South Dakota and you need some daycare services to be provided, she may have a few openings. Go ahead and look them up on Facebook. That's Sarah Complin, Kompelien Daycare in Flandreau, and check them out there.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody that supported, and to our sponsors. We greatly appreciate it. And just real quick, we also have some t-shirts available. And if you want some South Dakota Gamer swag, you should head over to southdakotagamer.com/apparel and check out our t-shirts, because they're pretty cool. Designed by our own David Mann.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And I think that's all I got. That's all I got to talk about.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that. Make sure to enter in for that contest. It ends on May 9th. We will be giving that, either giving it away if you live here in South Dakota and actually can see me in person, I will hand it to you,
Right.
or we'll be mailing it off to you on May 10th. So, but the winner will be chosen May 9th. That's only 5 days away, since today is May the 4th.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure you do that. All right. Let's get into our new releases for May the 3rd. Yes, I know that was yesterday. We record on Tuesdays nights, and so the recording goes up on a Wednesday. And the games that are listed here, most of them have come out already this week. But we're still going to let you know what they are. And then a few of them may come out later in the week. That happens sometimes as well. So for the time being, most of these are done on May 3rd. The first one is Battleborn. It's like an MMO kind of, or a MOBA. It's coming out on the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. We played some of the beta. We talked about our impressions a little bit. Personally, I wasn't overly impressed. Kind of underwhelmed myself.
Yeah, it wasn't fantastic.
Yeah. The Overwatch beta goes live on May the 4th as well for PS4 and Xbox One. That's the one from Blizzard. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out as well. But if it's similar to Battleborn, I don't know that that'll be a game for me. But if it is a game for you, it is available right now.
We've also got coming out on PS4, and then so PS4
May 3rd.
yesterday, and
Right.
then on the 6th for Xbox One. This one sounds pretty cool. It's called Coffin Dodgers. And so the I'll just read it. Coffin Dodgers sees you take on the role of saving one of 7 quirky retirement village residents, each racing for their soul in mobility scooters against none other than the Grim Reaper himself.
Okay,
Our old
the title
heroes-
just got real funny.
Yeah, exactly. Our old heroes are armed with a variety of homemade weapons and gadgets to take on anything the Grim Reaper and his zombie army may throw at them. So this is essentially Mario Kart with old people on scooters.
That's funny.
And it sounds and looks fantastic. It's pretty funny.
Cool. All right.
Also, we've got coming out on, let's see here, Xbox One and PS4 is The Park. And this one sounds pretty cool too. So it says, set in a creepy amusement park, hiding a dark and sinister secret. The park is a 1 to 2 hour long first-person psychological horror experience, focusing on intense storytelling and exploration instead of combat and action. A day at the park, a lost teddy bear, a missing child. As the sun sets over Atlantic Island Park, you must explore its dilapidated rides in search of your son, Callum. As darkness falls, you will experience panic and paranoia through a narrative written by a team of award-winning storytellers.
What kind of awards did they win?
It sounds. Yeah, that's what I want to know. It sounds
Awards for
like.
stories.
Apparently, yeah, they won awards for telling stories. It sounds like the perfect backdrop for a kind of horror game. It looks like It may be first person, or possibly like a point and click, like type adventure game. Let's see, genre. Walking simulator. So first person, it looks like.
Cool.
The screenshots look really cool. So
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out. I'm not playing that one. Next, we got Fragments of Him on the PC. Fragments of Him says, in many games, people die left and right, and nobody bats an eyelash. In Fragments of Him, one character, controlled by you, dies right at the beginning. The rest of the game is about making that death matter. So this narrative game tells the story of one man, Will, and the people who his life and death impacted. You inhabit multiple characters as the game progresses. For instance, Will's significant other, whose very existence creates tension with another character you play, is one of the characters you play. So you go through and experience how one man's death has affected numerous people. That's for the PC, coming out May 3rd. Next, we have Ray Gigant, Gigant. It's a Japanese role-playing game that came out in Japan in 2015, and it is now scheduled to be released in the Americas and Europe. That is for the Vita. So your Vita owners have another game to play. Next, we have Shadow Complex Remastered. I played that over there on the Xbox 360 back in the day, and that's a side-scrolling shooter. It's a really cool game. It looked real neat. The backgrounds are real cool. You kind of had that. It was definitely a side-scroll, but you still could play into the back, kind of a 3D. But that was real cool. And then they remastered it, so it's not just a backwards compatible game, but they redid it, and there's a lot of new things there that is coming to the PS4. It already exists on the Xbox One and PC. Next, Super Hot, which we have talked about in the past. Josh has played on the PC, is coming to the Xbox One today or yesterday, the 3rd of May. So you can go ahead and play that. Next, Tabletop Racing World Tour for the PS4. Tabletop Racing World Tour is a high-octane combat racer from Nick Burkombe. Nick. It's from Nick. Nick says he's the co-creator of the Wipeout series. Get yourself behind the wheel of one of 12 fully customizable miniature cars and attempt to master 24 racetracks in the championship mode. There's a series of special events to beat, or you can head online and challenge up to 8 friends to determine the ultimate racer. So it sounds like a Micro Machines type of racer or a Hot Wheels racing game, which those are usually pretty fun.
Sounds cool.
And then the last two, we have Tropico 5 on the PS4. If you played the first 4 Tropicos, you probably know what Tropico 5 is all about, and you either liked them or you didn't, so there you go. And then finally coming out on the Xbox One, which has been on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 for eons and eons, is DC Universe Online, the superhero Superman Batman MMO. I downloaded that this past week, and I created a character, which they're pretty detailed. Created a flying fire character with a big S on his chest, with a black trim, but the blue and white costume because our logo, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to go play, and it's a free-to-play game, so you don't have to pay anything for it, or you can. So it gives you 3 tiers. I went to go get online. And if you've played an MMO, sometimes there's a queue that you have to be in. Well, my queue said I had 204 minutes to wait.
Oh.
In the free version queue. But then it was very, very quick to tell me that the member queue was like 2 minutes. And what was the title they had for the other one? Like it was the Ultimate or something like that. It was like less than a minute queue. Like, okay, let's see. So I did not wait 204 minutes to get into DC Universe Online. And I have a created character that has done nothing.
That's crazy. Like I played this a long time ago on PS3.
I did too.
And then just recently I downloaded it for my PS4 again. I made a Spawn inspired character.
Nice.
Which looks pretty cool. But I didn't have that, like I didn't have any issues getting online, like playing.
I waited a little bit. I'm like,
I played a couple times.
maybe it's not really 204 minutes. Maybe it's just like, it'll just drop down to 2 minutes real fast. But I probably waited a good 5 minutes, just sat there and nothing happened. So I was like, well, I'm not doing that at all.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, but I'll probably get back into it and try it again.
Do you think it's just because it just came to
might be
to Xbox?
It might be that it just came, and that might have been the day it came out too. That's possible. Yeah. So,
man, that's crazy.
All right, so those are the games that you can go play right now if you feel inclined to do so.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us into the news that you can use
if you so choose.
Jazzed it up a little bit. I like it.
I like to mix it up.
Okay, well, let's get into the news. There are number of items on the list. It's half the alphabet almost.
Yeah.
So let's get into some Nintendo stuff. Right after we recorded the podcast last week, a lot of Nintendo news came out regarding the NX and the new Zelda game and some mobile games. So let's talk a little bit about Nintendo and what we think about all this stuff. So the high points are the Nintendo NX will not be at E3 this year. They're not going to unveil it there. They're not going to show it there. It's not even going to be there. What they are going to do instead is have the new Zelda game available to play at E3, and that's actually going to be the only game available to play at E3 this year for Nintendo. So they're not going to talk about the NX. They did say on this call, which is their earnings call, that the NX will launch in 2017 in March, to be specific. So they gave us a launch month, and they said the Zelda game is going to be delayed and will release concurrently. I don't even know if they really said at the same time necessarily, meaning it could even be later than March, but it won't release before the NX is out, and it will be released for the Wii U and the NX at the same time.
Mistake.
Wowzers, right?
Mistake to not bring it out at E3. What are you thinking?
Yeah, are they really that? What can't be ready? I mean, how far behind are they?
It's impossible if they're not ready. They can't be not ready. If
at least just to show it.
Yeah, if they're saying that they're launching in March, there's no way. And man, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand them at all.
What are they going to sell at Christmas? What are you going to buy for your Wii U at Christmas?
Right. Especially if you're delaying. I understand delaying Zelda to 2017, especially if you're going to make it a launch game for the NX. That makes sense.
Sure.
But what are you doing? You're not going to show it at E3?
Yeah.
Nobody by the time you launch, nobody's going to care.
Yeah.
You just told us that you're going to launch in March. We're not going to see anything.
Yeah, you're missing. I don't understand the missing out on any. I mean, unless they announce some game at E3 that's coming out this winter or this fall, but I don't know what game would that be that anyone won't just go, yeah, but it's not Zelda.
Yeah, there's going to be no game that anybody gets excited about on the Wii U at this point. And they're not going to sell. Obviously, they can't sell NX games because NX doesn't come out till March, and so they're going to have nothing at E3. They're going to have nothing during the holidays.
They are going to have the Zelda game, but that's it.
Yes,
that's the only game you can play and see at E3 this year.
Right, and so they're going to have nothing at the holidays, and then by the time March rolls around, this is not. Are they thinking that they're gonna show this at a Nintendo Direct? For something like this, you can't do that. You can't that's fine, all well and good once you've launched your console, and if you want to stay disconnected and whatever, pretend you're not part of this ecosystem, that's fine. But you can't treat a console launch like that.
It just seems it seems real strange because you assume that they're going to be ahead of what the Xbox One and the PS4 are as far as their ability to run games, right?
Every rumor has said that it's going to be more powerful than the PS4 at least.
But you're not going to release it during the holiday. You're going to release it in March. After PlayStation VR will have come out in October, and probably the Neo version of PlayStation 4, and maybe another. We're hearing rumors of some Xbox One stuff being shown at E3 hardware-wise. So, I mean...
Plus the fact that I would assume in March, people are pretty budget conscious because they're getting ready to file taxes in April.
Yeah, and they're paying off their credit card bills from Christmas.
Yep.
I don't know. It seems like a strange move unless they've got something that they're just going to melt our faces with. And we don't even...
No, they don't. Know. They don't. This is going to be the thing.
They have to do that.
This is going to be the thing that it's the final nail in the coffin, and they're going to have to start developing software for other people.
Yeah.
They're going to go to a software-only company.
Be interesting. Speaking of software with Nintendo, they are talking about 2 new mobile games that they're going to release. Obviously, Mitoma has been out. I haven't played it in a while.
Yeah, I haven't been on there in a couple days.
Yeah. I did go on... it's been maybe a week, and there were no new answers or questions from anybody. None of my friends had been on. I'm like, well,
it needs. I think if it got just a couple new features, it would have more staying power. Yeah. If you can mention friends, and have it notify them, and if you can control, like I was saying before, if you could control who your Mii is interacting with,
sure,
and a couple things like that, I think it would have a little more staying power. It would feel more like a social experience.
So they're going to release 2 more games, and these are going to be more games. One is going to be an Animal Crossing, and the other one is going to be a Fire Emblem game. And supposedly they're coming out this fall.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Information other than the names, but
yeah, that's interesting. Final Fantasy Tactics is on mobile, and seems to do pretty well. I could see Animal Crossing being a mobile game too. So Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing seem to be titles that make sense.
What if they tie them into your Wii U or the new NX somehow too?
I mean, yeah, that'd be cool.
But
it'd be interesting.
Yeah. So that's some Nintendo news, whether we understand it or not. Is the news. Moving along into this is a brand new month, so we have brand new free games for PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gold members. Josh, why don't you read through the PlayStation free games for May?
I'm pretty excited about a couple of these. So Tropico 5 and Tabletop Racing are PS4. For PlayStation 3, we've got World Tour and Switch Galaxy Ultra.
World Tour is part of Tabletop Racing. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I saw where the comma was too, and I totally screwed that up. So Tropico 5 and Tabletop Racing World Tour are for the PS4. Switch Galaxy Ultra and Loco Roco Cocorecho.
Yeah, with the R's even. You did it.
Yeah, are for PS3. And then for Vita, we've got Bionic Commando Rearmed 2, God of War Ghost of Sparta, and Switch Galaxy Ultra, which I'm assuming that's a cross-buy with the PS4.
Okay.
Cross-buy, but maybe it's only the Vita version that's a PS Plus.
Not sure.
Switch Galaxy Ultra, I think, is also playable on the PS4. I may be wrong about that, but those are our free games for May for PlayStation Plus. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to play Tabletop Racing. That's a brand new game.
It sounds like fun.
And yeah, the fact that it's a PS Plus game, it worked for Rocket League. So
yeah, right.
And Tropico, the Tropico games, say what you will about those games, but they're good games.
Yeah, if you like the first 4, you probably like this one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Xbox games with gold. The free ones for May are Defense Grid 2. That is a tower defense game, which I'm not a real big tower defense fan, but I have found out that my 10-year-old son really digs the tower defense. So he has been playing that one, and he's been enjoying it. Also free Costume Quest 2 for your Xbox One, and then the Xbox 360 backwards compatible games are Grid 2, which is a racing game, and Peggle. So a little underwhelming, but not every month can be a home run.
Yeah,
so it's okay. They're free. What are you going to complain about?
That's right.
Okay, moving right along. Speaking of giving away things that we talked about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4, we are giving that game away, but we did not get this game from Europe, where they were being sold.
This is crazy.
At the time of our recording last week, they were breaking street date in Europe and selling it to anybody that wanted it. Just at
and that's
various stores.
Like there's harsh penalties for that, correct?
Yeah. I mean, Naughty Dog could, or Sony probably really could. I don't know what they could do. But
I would assume it'd be Sony.
It's an agreement. There's a retailer agreement when you agree to sell people's product that you will follow the sell by dates that they want. And if you don't do that, I guess you can lose those privileges of selling their product, I would assume.
Like gaming outlets like ourselves or IGN or Kind of Funny, like those guys, we're not even allowed to post reviews,
right,
or really impressions even of that game until the 9th,
right,
or the 10th, the 9th, I think.
The 9th, like Eastern or something.
Yeah, so that's great. Like
especially with a game like this that wraps up a series and is going to have some pretty
global attention,
storytelling.
Yeah, like this. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah. So you might have bought your copy early over there in the UK, or you may have found a copy because there were some copies in transit also in the UK, and they were stolen en route to, I assume, the retailers. This has happened before with other games in the past, where like the semi has literally been hijacked and the games have been stolen out of the trailer. And there's actually a criminal investigation going on into the stolen games.
Just wait the extra week,
right?
Jeez. To be clear, that is not how we got our copy.
No,
of the game.
We do not have a European version.
Also, we're not in the UK,
or nor did we steal it or buy it early. So relax, okay? It's okay. All right. So moving along, some new game news. Just today, I believe we got a date for Dishonored 2, the Bethesda first-person steampunky magic game. Dave really, really liked this game. I enjoyed it too, but I know Dave really liked it quite a bit. But Dishonored 2 got the date of November 11th for its release this fall, which is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to have to wait long.
Yeah.
Are you excited about this one?
I mean, I want to play it. Am I like, yes? Oh, I've been waiting for this. No. I really
Dave was pretty excited earlier.
Oh, yeah, he really got into this game.
I feel like this is exactly the type of game that I would like, and I've started it 3 times.
Oh, really?
And all 3 times I've like let it slip for something else.
Sure.
I don't know that it's the game's fault. It may just be that like I had other things to play and then never came back to it. I have it. I still have Dishonored, the definitive edition on my PS4. So I'll probably get to it at some point, but
it's unique.
It looks and feels exactly like the type of game I would like.
Sure. Yeah. Well, maybe worth a try.
So, yeah, I'll try and go back to it.
All right. Next, Battlefield 5 has announced it will reveal its game, Battlefield 5, on the 6th of May. So 2 days from the date of this release of this podcast, Battlefield EA will come out and talk to us what Battlefield 5 is. The rumor is that it's a World War I game. We haven't seen anything else more on that to solidify that rumor, but that was the rumor a month or so back. So on the 6th, we will see exactly what they have in store, which will be a good contrast to what Call of Duty is. We talked about Call of Duty last week, and that the rumor was it was called Infinite, that it was going to be held in space. And Josh and I contemplated a time travel fantastic idea for a game that doesn't look like is what they're doing.
And they weren't listening.
So Call of Duty Infinite is, come to find out what the game is called. It is going to, it almost reminded me of Mass Effect when they showed the spaceships going up into space and literally, space combat. It looked like they landed on another planet and you're fighting on another planet. I mean, it is interesting. It is different, it seems. I don't know if they did any gameplay yet streaming, but I'm sure we'll see a lot of that at E3.
Yeah.
But the thing that's almost getting bigger news than what Call of Duty Infinite is that you can also get the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare remastered. Not backwards compatible. It's not a port. It's a redoing of the first Modern Warfare game. The release for this game is November 4th for Call of Duty Infinite. You cannot buy Modern Warfare standalone.
Yeah.
It is only bundled with Infinite. So you can buy Infinite on its own for the normal $59.99, or you can buy the bundle, which includes Modern Warfare, which comes with a campaign, and then 10 multiplayer maps.
You got to pay the extra $20
for $79.99.
You got to pay the extra $20. There's no way you get this game and don't get Modern Warfare. Come on.
Yeah.
The interesting thing to me here is that they're saying there's 10 multiplayer maps,
correct,
which means that they're supporting this game for online play,
right?
Which is awesome, like awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think this kind of paves the way for Modern Warfare 2 if they want,
right?
Even Modern Warfare 3 possibly as well.
Like I would assume these can't be the same servers. These can't be the PS3 servers.
No, it's got to be new. Has to be.
These are dedicated servers. Whether they're sharing with like the Infinite multiplayer maybe or whatever, but that's super cool. That's super cool, and you have to pay the extra $20
if you played Modern Warfare, and I mean it's almost nostalgic, which is kind of weird.
Yeah,
for us, but it is. Some people could get a little fussy with because some people. I'm trying to think of an example where a game gave the previous version away, like included. Fallout 3 came free with Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Alan Wake came free with Quantum Break. Okay, but those aren't remastered games. Those were just ports, backwards compatible. It's the same game. They didn't really do anything to it or for it. This one, I sent you guys. Did I send you guys a couple pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, or I put on Facebook or something where you saw the 360 PS3 version next to the new Xbox One PS4 version.
Yeah,
and it's updated. It's totally updated. So for $20, you get a great Modern Warfare game, and then to be able to play not just the campaign, but you get to play on multiplayer too.
Yeah.
It's almost like Modern Warfare is getting more buzz than Infinite is. Are you getting that? A little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm understanding, and because everybody's like, oh, a new Call of Duty, whatever. Right. But everybody loves Modern Warfare. I mean, come on, everybody loves that game, and so yeah, like I kind of feel bad for Infinity Ward because they're like, new Modern Warfare, it's in space and crazy stuff, and everybody's like, new Call of Duty or whatever, and everybody's like, oh, Modern Warfare is coming back.
Yeah, right.
And that's like, yeah, but it's cool. Either way, it's cool, and I think I don't know how much it probably cost them to like remaster Modern Warfare or whatever, or how much the server hosting is costing or whatever. Sure. Like the upkeep on that, but I mean, this seems like a pretty smart deal. Like now they're getting $80 out of everybody that they would have gotten $60.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what percentage of people will get that, but it's got to be an overwhelming, majority of them.
Yeah.
So that's real cool. I'm excited. That's exciting.
I don't even like to spend $60 on a game, and I really want to like scrape together somehow $80 to spend on that. But
what if I don't
know if that would happen. But
what if you buy, because they also have a version that has a season pass. I think that's like another $20 for the season pass or $30. But what if they made new maps for Modern Warfare also? Like what if they saw that the traffic on Modern Warfare was so high that they almost have a new game in Modern Warfare and they add new map packs for that? That would be real dope. So
that'd be cool.
We'll see. So that comes out November 4th, which is not really a surprise to anyone. Moving right along, I mentioned earlier briefly, Microsoft may have some new hardware to show at E3, also possibly a new controller. The rumor is not necessarily like a Neo or a 1.5 version, but more of a slim version of the Xbox One. The Xbox One's a beast. It's a big machine. It's a big old VCR-sized machine.
Yeah.
and it's heavy, and like even compared to the PS4 is much smaller and sleeker than the Xbox One box. So the rumor is that this is more of a slim version, not a Neo type new console. So that'll be interesting to see. And a new controller, okay. I don't think I'll ever buy a new controller that's not a Xbox Elite. That controller is a beast. Oh my goodness! Like my son was playing with his. I have a Halo one, Halo 5, and Carter. That's kind of Carter's controller now. And so he was doing something. He had walked away, so I had to pick up the controller to do something. Like, man, this thing feels like I could just break it if I squeeze too hard. I'm just so used to the durability feel that the Xbox Elite has. So, okay, so new controller, new hardware. We'll see how that goes. You
just said last night when we were playing PlayStation that the joysticks were too short.
They are. I got my Control Freaks in today, which extend the joysticks. You just snap them right onto the end of the joysticks and make them a little bit longer. And man, that feels a lot better. A lot better. I actually tweeted about it, SDGamer on Twitter. And Control Freaks direct messaged me and asked if they could use my tweet in their monthly magazine. I said, sure, go ahead. So I had an SDGamer hashtag in there, and they said they'd include all the hashtags and everything too. So there you go, for what that's worth. Mighty Number 9 is that Mega Man inspired game. Inafune is the guy who created Mega Man, and he has been making this Mighty Number 9. It was kickstarted. Man, it's been a while now, and it has been delayed 4 times, maybe even more than that. Well, it's been delayed one more time, but now this is the for real date. Like
they mean it this time.
It's for real this time, and that is June 21st. Mighty Number 9 will be released, if anybody cares anymore.
I kind of do.
It looks cool. I lost a lot of interest. I was a lot higher when it was supposed to come out first, which is I bet it was at least 6 months ago, if not more. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now it's like, oh, okay. If it's less than $20, I might look at it. But all right, and then why don't you take the last couple here, if you don't mind?
So Stardew Valley.
Have you played it yet?
I just before the podcast
created a character.
I created a character.
What's your name?
My name?
Yep.
Jobin.
Jobin.
Yeah. So I created a character, got introduced to the carpenter and the mayor. I started clearing out my thing, my little field in front of my house. I exhausted myself to the point of collapsing and having to be rescued by the clinic.
Awesome.
I walked around a little bit, and that's all. Oh, I planted some parsnip seeds.
Yep.
Watered them.
Nice.
I don't understand how the exhaustion works.
Everything you do exerts energy.
Yeah, but like, how do I get it back?
You eat something. Or you sleep.
I don't have any food.
Right. So you have to sleep or just watch what you do.
But I slept.
I
slept and then it didn't all restore.
It's probably because you got yourself down past the point of exhaustion to where the clinic had to come rescue you.
Well, yeah.
So you probably didn't quite regenerate everything. But yeah, if you could buy it, like cabbage is great, but cabbage is spendy. But even the parsnips, once you do harvest those, you'll be able to eat them. Sometimes as you're wandering through the town, you'll find wild turnips. You can eat those. Those will also give you energy back as well.
So, okay. So that was all I did, really. I wandered around a little bit and, like, looked at some stuff. But it's pretty cool. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Stardew Valley is getting a multiplayer mode.
It's pretty cool.
Or I don't know if it's a mode so much as it's getting multiplayer in some form or another.
Right. They really didn't detail what
and it's coming to consoles, which is interesting.
It's pretty exciting.
I was playing with my controller.
Nice.
I hooked up my PS4 controller. I had to download like a third party
really
to do it. It's not as messy as all that. Like You can pair your PS4 controller to your computer wirelessly via Bluetooth. So I did that, but you still need something to interface it to basically fool your computer into thinking that it's an Xbox One controller. So it's not plug and play, but it's super simple. You just download a thing, and that's basically it.
Cool.
So I was playing with my controller, and it's pretty smooth. Like, I like it with the controller.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. I enjoyed the 15 or 20 minutes that I played. So yeah, I'll be going back to it for sure.
I'm impressed you could walk away, but I guess
well, we had to podcast, so
well, there you go.
No, I kept playing past my collapse. I soldiered on past that.
You brave man.
Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's coming to consoles. We don't know when any of this is happening. We just know that it is happening.
Yeah.
And then the last couple here, I actually I tacked these on because I thought they were interesting, and it goes back to a point that I was making last week. But so it's a bunch of numbers. So strap in. Here we go. PS4 sold 17.7 million consoles between March 2015 and April 2016 worldwide. This is as opposed to 15 million sold in the year previous to that. They have surpassed 40 million sold since the console launch 3 years ago. Console sales are up in the last year. Again, so March 2015 to April 2016. They're up in the last year, and revenue is at 14.3 billion in the past year, which is up 12%, with profits at 819 million, which is up 84% year over year.
Because Sony was struggling last year. They were having a rough time.
So profits are up 84% year over year. PS4 software is also up and has generated more revenue on PlayStation Network alone than Nintendo. PlayStation Network alone.
Wow.
More than Nintendo generated throughout its entire business.
It's insane.
Which is crazy. All right. So our totals here, 75 billion in sales for the year, with profits at 2.7 billion, which is up 333% overall year over year.
Whew. Good grief.
So this makes a couple points. First of all, that PlayStation is doing great now.
Yeah, 40 million people.
They've figured out what's working. They're doing what's working. They sold more consoles year over year this past year than the year before, which means console sales are on the upswing. They're accelerating. They just surpassed 40 million units. They're pacing at PS2 level sales,
which is big.
Which is the best-selling console.
We or is the best-selling.
PlayStation. It's PlayStation's best-selling unit. And so they're pacing the same as PS2, which I think sold 50 in its lifetime or something like that, or 60, something like that. Anyway, so console sales are accelerating. PlayStation profits are up 333% year over year. Software is doing great.
PlayStation 2, as of 2012, so 4 years ago, was at 155 million.
Oh, I was way off. All right.
Worldwide.
PlayStation 4 is pacing the same as PlayStation 2, like in its life cycle.
Yeah.
3 years. Which is great. So a couple of things here. PlayStation is now making money, a lot of money, good money. Finally, they're doing very well. They finally have something that's working, and they're doing it.
Right.
And two, console sales are on the upswing. They're accelerating. They're selling more consoles now than they were a year ago or even previous to that. So here's what I don't understand.
And they're cheaper even than they were.
They're cheaper now than they were. So they're selling even that's
right.
More to the point that they're selling even more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Neo last week, and I think the week before.
Yes.
And the argument that people could make, and I think we're making, is that, well, it's a 3-year-old system, so sales are slowing down. So they need a way to reinvigorate their revenue stream and like, you know, get some extra cash flow and all that stuff. No, not true. Not true at all. They're selling more consoles now than they were before. Like before this whole Neo thing came out, and I guarantee you, May is going to be a terrible month for sales, and so will June and July, and all the way up till October or whenever Neo comes out. Like sales are going to drop off like now
because people are just going to wait, right?
Yep, until whenever this thing launches.
So they know at least.
Yes. So this begs the question even more. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Like, you have VR to worry about in October, and you're launching a premium PlayStation conceivably around the same time, if these technical documents are to be believed that are going out to developers. Like this is just more information that begs the question why. I don't understand why. Doesn't make any sense.
They must think people are going to buy it. I mean,
people will buy it. It's how many people is the question, and how many people are going to buy this instead of VR, because not everybody has $400 to throw at a new PlayStation, and
same for
$400 to throw at VR plus whatever other peripherals they want to get with the VR. Like, people are going to have to make a choice at some point, and if like in my own mind, right? So if I have that disposable income, and I'm like, well, I know I love my PS4, and there's a new PS4 on the market. So I could sell my old one, I could get the new one, and my games are going to look better. Conceivably, the options and like the game modes and stuff like that are going to be better on this console than the other one. Every game coming out has to have a version that works on this console, so I'm not going to miss out on any games. So I know that I love my PS4 versus maybe I was thinking about the VR before, but maybe at this point I'm like, well, being an early adopter sucks sometimes. And so I'll wait on the VR. And yeah, exactly. So I'll wait on the VR. I'll let them, because there's not a ton of like impressive launch games as of yet. So maybe I'll wait on the VR, like give them a year or two to like pump out some games, make me more interested. And in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy this new PS4 that they're developing, when in reality, what PlayStation needs is early adopters and evangelists for VR that are saying like, hey, this is cool, you should get this too. And they're not going to get that if those people are saying, well, I'll wait on VR then, because I don't know what it's like. It's an unknown quantity. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like. So maybe I'll wait on that, and I'm going to get my premium PlayStation instead. That to me is the biggest problem with this. Like, let alone the fact that PS4 users might feel slighted or gypped or whatever. Like, you're going to have to deal with people's feeling like they got screwed.
Yeah, the short end of the stick.
To me, that's a secondary concern. To me, the main concern for them is that they're launching VR, something that they're hanging a lot of their future on, if Shuhei and some of those guys are to be believed. And you're also muddying the water with a brand new console. And you need people to buy VR, and you need people to talk about VR, and you need people to like it. And I don't understand why you would put anything in the same release window, or like why you would put anything in the same realm as that. Why would you confuse the market
with
two
competing
products?
With yourself? Yeah,
and you need VR to catch on. Like, they need that to happen.
Yeah. Well, they haven't given any kind of release time frame per se. Have they even set the year for the Neo?
No, but like, again, we're basing, because they haven't even said anything about the Neo officially. We're basing everything we know on the technical documents that have gone out to developers, which seem to have been corroborated from a million different ways. Like, it's real, it's a thing. And so they're saying every game has to be compatible with the new system October going forward, and games that come out in September have to be patched in October.
So that's where our possibility of time frame comes.
We know VR is launching in October.
Right.
This, even if it's not launching in October, until you say when this is coming out, what it's like, when we have an official response from Sony, like
E3, right? It has to be.
Hopefully, then we'll know more. But like, even okay, so fine, VR is launching in October, and they're like, no, we're not launching this until
March,
January,
right next to
February,
Nintendo.
or March next year. Like, if they did that, well, fine. I still have like November, December, January, February. I have 4 months that I'm like, do I really want VR or do I want to wait for that console? Because VR is still new and they're still working out bugs and there's not like a ton of games and whatever.
Are you personally, regardless of VR or not, with the Neo, is that something you're like, I kind of want to upgrade to just so I have the better version?
I don't care.
No?
Again, I think this is I think it's a dumb idea all the way around. Console gamers are not gaming for graphical integrity. Like, if that's what you're worried about, game on a PC. That you would be gaming on PC if that was your main concern.
Sure. Because
you'd be upgrading your graphics card every 2 or 3 or 4 months or whatever. But like a console gamer, I think your core console gamer that's not why I'm gaming in the first place. I want it to be easy. I want to buy a game, I want to put it in my system, and I want to play it. I don't want to like worry about drivers and upgrading my hardware and like, is this game going to run on my computer? Because the last game I bought ran on it, but it's been 2 months and there's been a bunch of stuff coming out. And like, I don't know what's going to run on my computer anymore. And like, screw that. I played on PC for a long time. That's not enjoyable. That's stressful. Work. And yeah, it's too much work. So a console gamer that's not what we're gaming for. That's not what we're worried about. So I think it's a dumb idea anyway. And I could care less if my graphics are a tiny bit crisper than my PS4. Like the difference that it's going to make is not going to be negligible. That big of a deal to me.
And it looks great as it is. So
yeah. And like the comparison has been made that the PS4 Neo to the PS4 is going to be the PS4 to the PS3. Like The Last of Us released at the end of the PS3's life cycle to PS4 version. Like, it definitely looks better.
It does.
It's crisper.
Totally.
It's smoother and everything like that.
But it looked good on the PS3 also.
Yeah, it looked great on the PS3 and it looked a little bit better on the PS4. So I don't care. Like this is not a big thing to me. But my point is, people are gonna have to make a decision now between a product that they really need to catch on and a product that seems to be superfluous, and it doesn't make sense to me to do this now. When Colin said it a million times on PS I Love You, but like, why not let VR catch on now and then launch just a new console altogether, a brand new console, like the entire next step in your evolution 2 years later, 3 years later. Like 2 or 3 years from now, you could release a whole console and people would not bat an eye. That would be 5 or 6 years. Like, that's shorter than a normal console life cycle, but if you wanted to do that, people would not be that angry.
No, especially if you incorporate VR better into it.
Right. Like, it just, to me, it doesn't make sense. And the fact that current PS4 users are going to be they're going to be angry because they feel like they got screwed or like they purchased at the wrong time or whatever. To me, that's a far secondary concern to the fact that like VR is the thing.
They need it to work,
and they need it to catch on, and they need their core audience, their core PlayStation audience, which is the same audience that's going to be interested in the Neo. They need those people to catch on to VR and to tell people about VR and to play VR, because they need that
word
base there, that customer base. Yeah, and they need the word of mouth. And it just, the whole thing seems like a terrible idea. And again, maybe I'll be wrong. And maybe, with profits going up like they are, they feel like they've got the money to play with, and they can risk it. I don't know, man. We
will probably know in about a month, a little bit more than a month. We will probably know something more. So
you would have to see something at E3. They can't wait much longer than that. They have to talk about it at this point because sales are going down. The last thing we have on the list here, and I just thought it was pretty cool, so you guys should go check it out. It's a live-action Donkey Kong short film, and this is not the only Mario short film that this guy's made, evidently. But he's on YouTube. His username is MyNameIsBanks, all one word, and he's got a website, mynameisbanks.com. But it's really cool. It's a live action Donkey Kong, Mario versus Donkey Kong.
Real gorilla?
Short film. Well, it's obviously like a CG gorilla at the end, but like the effects are super cool. It's like some EDM music in the background, and like Mario's like doing some moves and stuff to the beat of the EDM music, and like he's got like a hammer and he's like smashing barrels, and so at one point like the beat's going in the background and like he's smashing barrels like with the beat, and it's super cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and like
check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So YouTube, my name is Banks, or mynameisbanks.com. This guy's got some pretty cool stuff out there.
Neat.
I saw it this week, and I figured I'd give him a shout out and tell people to go check it out. It's pretty cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for the news for this week. We're still waiting on one said Dave man. We believe he has landed at the chicken coop, and which is code for the hotel he's staying at because it's in North Dakota. And hopefully he'll be joining us soon. But we're here into the point where we are going to talk about the games that we've been playing lately. So since you just did a lot of talking, I'll give you some some respite, and I'll talk about the games that I've been playing first. Josh mentioned our Rocket League PS4 game night last night, which was a ton of fun. I'll give you a little story about my PlayStation 4. So I've been playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank, the new Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 4. I've played through and finished the game twice. Start to finish. I talked about it last week or the week before, probably last week. We're talking about the weapons upgrades and things like that. So I played through it all the way through. And then they have a challenge mode, which is basically New Game Plus. You keep all your weapons, you keep all your upgrades, you just start back over at the beginning. Some of the gadgets that you gain throughout, you don't keep those. Like there's a scuba suit that helps you breathe underwater. You don't get to keep that. You have to reobtain that. But all the weapons you keep, and your upgrades and things like that. So I started over. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll just play again through challenge mode, or start it, and we'll see how far I get. I already beat it. The story is really okay, it's all right, but it's just fun. I've really been having a lot of fun with this game. So I started with challenge mode, and next thing I know, a couple days later, I'm like, I just beat it in challenge mode. So I beat it twice, and I started it again for the third time.
Wow.
Because I have a couple weapons. I had a couple weapons that I still needed to upgrade. Now I only have one more left, and it's the Sheepinator.
Yeah.
That turns enemies into sheep, and then you can upgrade it to the Goatinator. That turns them into goats. So that's the only weapon I have left to upgrade all the way to level 10. And once you go through the game, you can travel back to any planet you want, but the enemies aren't there anymore. You've eradicated them. You've pushed them off world. So you may get a pocket of like 5 or 6, but the world's not full of enemies. So the way you upgrade your guns or use them, and so there's nowhere to use them. So either you continually fight the end of boss, which doesn't really work very well, especially with the Goatinator, because the Goatinator, you shoot at a guy, it's like a laser beam. You shoot it at a guy, and after a little while, it turns into a sheep or a goat, depending on what level you're at. You can't do that to the end boss because he's the end boss.
That would ruin it.
Yeah, so there's only a couple minions throughout that fight that you can use it on. So I just started challenge mode over again, and I got probably fourth of the way through it the third time. I might have hit my limit though. It's a lot of fun, but now I'm like, okay, I am only grinding completely.
Are you not going to platinum it then?
Well, there's one trophy that you have to use the Groovinator on every enemy type in the game. That's bosses included and everything. And you can miss this achievement because once, like I mentioned, once you eradicate a planet, you go past it. Those enemies are gone. You can't go back and like, I missed this particular enemy. You have to literally start over the challenge mode again.
Yeah.
So I feel that pull, that addiction. I have that achievement hunter thing. And then ever since I platinumed Rocket League, last week.
Yeah.
I've been playing this. And I'm like, it's within. I think I only have 3 trophies left besides that one. Maybe only 3. One is to upgrade all the weapons, which I only have 1 weapon left. One is to Groovatron, and that's a little disco ball you throw down. It makes the enemies dance. That one with every enemy type, which looking at some guides, it looks like there's 36 different enemy types. And there's no tracker to see which ones you've gotten or not. So
that sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks.
It's just literally keeping track yourself, and someone else. Like I wouldn't even know what are the different enemy types with someone who's done that work already, but I still have to track my own. And then there's one when you do challenge mode, you get a bolt multiplier. So as long as you hit enemies without taking damage, without getting hit, the multiplier goes higher and higher, and the trophy is for getting to its max. Which I haven't looked to see what the max is. I've gotten it up to like 16 and then gotten hit and dropped all the way back down to 0. So those are the only 3 I have left.
Wow.
So it's definitely within reach.
You got to do it.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I just need to take a break for a little while. But
go back to Just Cause.
Right. Or Stardew Valley. Yeah. So Ratchet and Clank, man, that game is a lot of fun. And as you asked me the question last week, is it literally fun upgrading the weapons, or is it just, does it just do more damage? You can't tell, but like the more you even level them up, you get it to level 5, and then you collect these cards, and if you get all 3 of the cards, which are really easy to get, then you get a newer version, and you have to go to the store and buy a newer upgraded version of that gun, and that changes everything about it. Changes its look, changes what it does. And some of them, man, there's some that are super powerful. And I've been playing on casual because there's no trophy for difficulty level. So I just don't, why do I want to make myself suffer more?
Right.
So some of those weapons are pretty beast. But
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I like it when games, like when upgrading weapons or like that kind of stuff, when that matters, like when you actually see that it does something in the game. That's a super satisfying feeling.
Yeah, and that's good grief, I can't remember the last game I played to completion twice, and then I was like, I'll start it again.
Yeah,
like literally the same
in a row.
Exact game. Yeah, within 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so it's a lot of fun. I recommend it. And then we played Rocket League, like I mentioned. Dude, you're a beast with the aerial hits. I was impressed. I'm
really not that good.
Maybe I'm just real bad then because I was impressed.
No, I'm not saying that. Like I try for a lot, and I think because I try for a lot,
you hit them more often.
I get a few of them, but I'm not as good as I've never completed any of the aerial training, getting more than 2 of them.
Oh, sure.
So I'm really not super good. But I have learned that if you get up there, like the times that you get that hit, totally worth it.
Yeah.
So
with all the misses,
get up in the air and yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I've obviously played a lot I played some on the PlayStation 4 when it first came out, and then I played a lot on the Xbox One with Tyler and some of the other guys.
Yeah.
And then to come back to PlayStation, I was afraid with Evan and Paco and even, with everyone there, Jordan, that I was going to really 2%, that I was really going to get owned. I was going to be okay, the weakest link is definitely Chad. That's what I was afraid was going to happen. I didn't feel that way. I felt like I held my own.
Yeah, you held your own.
And I felt
everybody. I felt like
well. Yeah, I didn't feel like I was outshined. I think everyone was good.
Yeah,
there wasn't anyone that was okay, if I were to say one player that I've played with that's all right, that dude's on another level, it's Tyler. He ever since you brought your PlayStation to his place, and hooked him on that drug called Rocket League, he has dedicated his free time to that game and has excelled exceedingly. And I don't think anyone I don't think anyone I play with is any better than he is. So I felt like us on the PlayStation, we all kind of held our own.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. We had 6 people at one time playing together.
Yeah, at the very end, my brother ended up joining us. We had 6 people, so we had 3-on-3 matches going. It was pretty good. And it was like we were all doing like auto assign.
Yeah.
So it was like different teams every time. And the last one we did, the Steel Brothers is Chad, myself, and my brother. And we won.
Owenses and adopted me for the game. And
right.
Won.
Yeah, like I was nothing against my brother. I just didn't know he had the PlayStation or the game. And so I was like,
or the internet or a TV.
Yeah,
or he didn't even know he lived in a house.
Right. Yeah, I thought maybe he was just a wilderness man. And he, if anybody, I thought that maybe he would be a little slow in the uptake and not play as well. But he was doing pretty well too.
Yeah,
like the last game we played, he scored all 3 of our goals, I think.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, I was impressed. I was impressed with everyone.
Yeah. So that's really all I've been playing.
We played some hoops too, which is
we did.
real hard, but it's fun.
That's a learning curve, but that was fun too. Yeah. That's all I got, sir.
All right. So I played Rocket League, obviously. I'm gonna tell everyone an issue that I have with Rocket League right now. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Ever since the update that came with the hoops, there was a few other things that they updated. One was being able to press the touchpad button and hold it in on the PlayStation controller, and that would automatically save a replay of that match, and it would put like a marker at the time that you pressed it or whatever. I don't exactly understand what it was doing. You're supposed to have to press the button and hold it in, right?
Okay. All right.
Here's what's happening, at least for me.
It happened to me once last night too. I didn't mention it, but it did.
If you press, so it happened for you.
Okay.
So if you press that touchpad button, there's a tactical click that happens if you press it.
Right.
That's supposed to bring up the keyboard so that you can type in a chat message during the match.
Right.
Well, what's happening for me, and evidently also for Chad, is as soon as you press that button, it says a replay of this match will be saved upon exit. Right. That's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's like 2 things are happening with the same function.
Yes, and so if you hold, what I found is if you hold the button, it will bring up the chat keyboard. So it's working in reverse of how it's supposed to work.
See, when I did it, I think I accidentally tapped it. I just accidentally hit it, like amongst whatever, my wild trying to save something. My thumb slipped off the thumbstick, but I hit it, and it came up and said, "This has been saved," and then the chat came up right after that thing, like immediately.
Yeah. See, that shouldn't be happening. And you shouldn't have to hold that to bring up the chat because you don't have a ton of time in the game to bring up the box and type in a chat and then exit and then keep playing. So fix it, Psyonix. I don't like it, especially when I got a teammate in doubles that's following me right on my butt the whole match, and I want to tell him, hey, spread out a little bit, dude. Stop following me around. That's not how this game is played. Like,
Sir.
I want to be able to type that, and I can't.
Sure.
And all I can do is the quick chat options, and I can just wow over and over again and hope he gets the message.
But he's not gonna.
But he's not getting it.
No.
But that's the only issue I have with Rocket League. Other than that, it's great. I love it.
Fair point.
I've still been playing Tactics.
Yeah.
I'm getting like I don't understand. As many times as I've played through this game, I don't understand why I love it so much still. And I enjoy it every time I play through it.
Awesome.
And I'm already thinking about like the next time I play through this game, like different choices I'm going to make with my character and like different builds and stuff like that. Like there's so many jobs and abilities and all this stuff. And the story is fantastic too. Like it's not your typical Final Fantasy story where it's like really weird and hard to follow. Like it's actually really deep and good. So it's a ton of fun. Like I just got this ability with my main character. Because like you play as a job, and so you get job points in that job, and then you learn abilities in that job, and then each job has a passive ability that you can assign that's unique to that job, but you can assign it to your character, and then you can use it no matter what job you are. Like it's a passive ability, so you can like take something from that job and keep it no matter what you're doing. And so I played as a ninja for a while because ninjas wield two weapons. Yeah, because ninjas. They wield two weapons at a time. So like every time you attack with like a melee attack, it attacks twice.
That's cool.
And so like depending on the weapons you're carrying, like that can be super useful.
Right.
And so before that, I was playing as a samurai, which equipped katanas.
Same thing.
Yeah, right? But not exactly. Not in this game anyway. Because samurais equip katanas and they have heavy armor. So like they've got a lot of hit points and they do a pretty good amount of damage with their katana. But ninjas don't equip katanas. So I played with a ninja long enough to get the dual wield ability. And so I assigned that to my character. I went back to a samurai. So I've got like 300 hit points. And I'm doing over 150 damage every time I melee somebody. Cool. Which is crazy. And I think I'm overpowering my characters for like the storyline of the game because I'm grinding so much. So every time I get to a story mission, I'm like blowing right through it, and then I grind a ton and like go to the next story thing. But it's so much fun. Like half the fun of that game is just maxing out your jobs and like learning new abilities and getting new jobs and stuff like that. It's great. So I'm still playing that. I played a little bit of Stardew Valley, like I was talking about, and that game's awesome. And the last thing I want to talk about is VR.
You played VR?
So
Talk to me.
I want to be clear. I want to be clear. I didn't actually play a game because that's not what they had set up.
Okay.
But I tried VR. So this.
Where were you?
Last Saturday, Cecilia and I went to Draft Town. It was in Chicago.
Super jealous.
Right off of Lakeshore Drive. And me being the giant sports fan that I am, I was like,
sports ball.
Yeah, I love me some sports things. And so I was like, we got to go. We have to go and see the drafting of the players for all of the sports games. And so we went. So it was rainy and cold and miserable. Awesome. I sent you a couple pictures. Yes, you did. So driving by on Lakeshore, like when I go to visit Cecilia, like I just was seeing the one side of it, like the main theater thing. And that's like the back side of it. And so like driving by it on the Lakeshore side, it looked like a lot of it was covered. So I was like, no problem. Like it was raining on Saturday. Like I had gotten her apartment. I was like, let's go. And she's like, do you really want to go? It's raining. And I was like, well, most of it's covered. It's fine. So I put on like a t-shirt, like I had a t-shirt on and a light jacket, right? A very light jacket. And so we Ubered from her place to the thing, and he dropped us off at like an entrance that wasn't an entrance. So we had to walk like another 2 blocks to get into it. Because the cop told us, sorry, this is the entrance for players and managers only.
Oh, cool.
You can exit here later. Yeah, you can freaking exit there, but you can't enter there.
Unless you're
doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Chicago PD. Anyway, so we walked like 2 blocks and got in. But by the time we walked that 2 blocks and got in, like I was soaked all the way through. Cecilia was a little bit more prepared than I am. I was, because she's smarter than I am. But I was soaked all the way through. So at that point, like I was like, let's do what we're gonna do and then get out of here. Because I don't want to be in the wet, damp, cold anymore. So the only things that we did was take a picture by the Lombardi Trophy, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we saw some of the Super Bowl rings, which was pretty cool. And then they had a VR tent, which is basically the entire, like, that's the only thing I wanted to do there. Like, I wanted to make sure we did that. So they have a whole tent set up, and they've got like chairs, and it was the Samsung Gear that they were running. So one of the lower end quote unquote VRs, like it's not as powerful as like the console or PC VRs or whatever.
Is it kind of like what Dave did the Google Cardboard, or is it higher than that?
It's an actual headset.
Okay.
I've never tried the Cardboard, so I don't know exactly what's involved with that, but it's an actual headset. Like it looked good, not great.
Okay.
But I said, so they sit you down in a chair. They say, have you ever tried VR before? And so I told them no. So she explained it to me real quick. She's like, all right, you're just going to pop this on your head, adjust it until you see the word, whatever, like it was the app that they were running. And then she said, there's a wheel right here to adjust your focus in case you need a little more control over that. I said, okay. So they sit you down in the chair. You put the thing on, tell her, yeah, thumbs up, I can see the word. She's like, all right, cool. She puts the headphones on your ear. And immediately, once you get the noise-canceling headphones on and being the VR, the outside world doesn't exist anymore.
Cool.
It just doesn't. So, like, the only thing that brought me back while I was doing it was that I turned it. Cecilia was in the chair next to me doing like her VR thing, and I turned because you can look all around you, like it's 360 view, and I turned a little bit and my knee bumped hers, and that was like the only thing that was like, you're sitting in a chair in a tent. So like I'm wearing this thing and I'm looking around, and so at first it started out with like you're just in this like futuristic, reminded me kind of Star Wars, like futuristic room, like with pistons and steam and whatever, and it's like the NFL symbol, like the symbol, like the logo for this company, that for the app or whatever. And it was basically, I think, to demonstrate how it would work if you were watching a sporting event in VR. Cool. And so it's obviously football because we're at NFL Draft Town, but and it was like, I expected it to be cool watching a sporting event in VR, like, you know, maybe if they set up a camera at the 50-yard line and you're like looking around or whatever, and like you can see like the stands and you can see the players and coaches and all this stuff. So there was some of that, but there was like so much more than I actually expected. Like there was a camera out on the field at one point, and like so there was like press talking to players, and so you're like in the press, and so you're like looking at the press and you're like looking at the players, and like they had a shot where the players were running out from the locker room like onto the field through the tunnel, and so you're in the tunnel like watching all the players go by. There was a shot in one of the like big boxes up at the top of the stadium with like, you know, the seat, like the nice seats in the glass, like looking out over the stadium. There was a bunch of different things that they did with it, and like again, it's Gear VR, and so it was a rainy day, and like it was just damp and cold and miserable, and like so my headset was a little bit foggy just because of the weather conditions. But aside from that, my visuals weren't super clear. Like they were as clear, I think, as they could be, but it wasn't extremely clear. And I even rotated the wheel, like the focus wheel on the headset, and the only thing it did was make my field of view farther away or closer. It didn't focus anything anymore.
Does that kind of break it for you a little bit, like immersion?
That was the only thing that I was like, this doesn't look great. Like everything was a little bit fuzzy. I could tell what I was looking at for sure, and it still looked amazing. And like if I was just like looking around, like if I didn't focus on any one thing, I wouldn't have known.
Sure.
But when you stop your head and like look at one thing, it was like fuzzy and didn't look exactly, like it didn't look super crisp, and it didn't look great. It didn't look like some of the demos that I've seen.
Sure.
So I don't know if that was all attributed to the fact that like however many thousands of people have worn this thing before me, and like it's Gear VR anyway, and so like who knows like how good that is versus like the weather conditions and what that was doing, or like, you know, what's happened to the headset before I got it. But all in all, like everybody that I've heard talk about VR up to this point has said you have to try it to understand, and I do.
Yeah,
like I get it. I really get it. Like,
so are you more interested in Sony VR now then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I was already pretty excited about it, and like, oh man, dude, like I wish that I could describe it. Like you seriously, so like I put the headset on and I'm already looking around, and she's like, now remember, you can look anywhere. Like you can look up, down, side to side, like you can look behind you, you can look all around. I'm like, okay, cool, you know? And like you hear that, but you don't really believe it, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because you're used to some limitations on, you're like, well, I can't look everywhere. Yeah, right. You can freaking look everywhere. So, and then, so that was cool. Like I already started looking around, and then she plops the headphones down in your ears. And these weren't even great headphones. They were noise canceling headphones, but like as soon as that happens, as soon as you got the headphones on and the headset on, like you forget that you're even sitting in a chair. Like,
wow.
And because I was thinking about the same thing that some of the other people have said, like maybe you feel self-conscious because you're in a room of other people, you can't see or hear what's going on. And like, it's not that anybody's going to attack you, but like
Yeah.
You like to be able to know what's going on in your surroundings. Like
so when you wear the headphone off halfway your one ear, so you can kind of hear what's going on.
yeah, but I didn't do that. Like I was fully in,
right.
and like I didn't care that there was a room full of people or a tent full of people around me. I didn't care
real
that there was a
cool.
lady standing behind me waiting for me to get done. I didn't care about any of that. Like all of that went away as soon as the headphones and the headset were on.
See, hearing you say this is exciting to me because I remember when it was first announced.
Yeah.
And the three of us talked about it, and I was like, I want to be in first day just because that's what I am. And you and Dave were both like, I don't know.
Yeah,
and
I was
to
super
hear
skeptical.
your like enthusiasm after trying it is exciting to me.
I was really skeptical. I was even skeptical going into it. And then when I saw that it was Gear VR that they were doing and not like Oculus or whatever, I was like, yes, I don't know. And then like even that tiny issue that I had, like images not being super clear, I totally get it. And like the outside world totally goes away. And the other thing that I noticed, and like I wore it for maybe 5 minutes. Like I didn't try it for very long.
Sure.
It wasn't, I don't think it was one of those things where they like tap you on the shoulder and say, okay, time's up. Like I think she would have let me sit there for just about as long as I wanted, especially on that day. Like it was super empty. The whole thing was super empty because it was
the weather
conditions. But
right.
I didn't get the impression from like wearing this thing and the headphones and everything. It was super comfortable. And at one point I forgot that it was even on my face. Like,
that's cool.
So I don't think that comfort is going to be a huge issue for these headsets. And like we've talked about like gaming for a couple of hours and like having to wear a thing on your face. And there's obviously like different people have said like if you strap it too tight, like whatever. But the way everything was super comfortable, and I don't think that I would have had a problem. Like if I had time and was playing a game, I don't think I would have had a problem playing for a couple of hours easily. Like it was very comfortable, and I don't think it would have been an issue to wear it for long periods of time. So
does Cecilia have the same kind of experience that she
thought? Yeah, she thought it was really cool. And she's not a video game type person, and
that's why I wondered.
But like we were talking about the implications just for like sporting events and like concerts and stuff like that, like live events that they want to take a camera to. And she was like super sold on just the sporting event side of it, like not even the gaming implications. And so like she was like, she's like, you were right there, like right on the field, like with the press, and like they like put a guy on a stretcher and like carried him off the field, and like you're like standing right next to them watching all this happen. And like the things that they can do with this, like they just, and it's just a big tall pole with a 360-degree camera on it, and it's just a guy carrying it. And so like they could go anywhere, like anytime press is allowed on the field, or like wherever press is allowed,
you can be there too.
You can be there. And so you can be like right there when somebody's interviewing a player for ESPN, or you can be there when like at basketball games, even like that's an even better view. It's a smaller court, and like you're seeing the players like run by, or like you're on the court when they're doing like special stuff, or like even just that part of it is really, really cool. And like I hadn't thought, the only thing that I had thought about for sporting events is a camera at the 50-yard line or a camera at half court.
It's like having a seat.
You get to watch the game. Yeah, like you're sitting in a seat. And like I hadn't even thought about the fact that they could put this thing on a pole and carry it around and like go all over
sky cam, like over the field. Right.
And man, it's freaking cool. It's really cool. Like
neat.
I totally get it. And like so then I was thinking, like as we were on our way back to the apartment so that I could dry off, I was thinking about games like EVE Online, or like some of the games that they're talking about, like space flight simulators, or even just a regular like flight game, or like a racing game or things like that. Like what it would be like to be stationary, like playing a game where you're sitting down, but like you can move your head and like look around, and that would totally work. Like even the traversal stuff, like they're talking about, like it's hard to reconcile wearing this thing and being able to move your head and still having to walk around with the joystick. To me, like I didn't get to do that. I didn't play a game, so maybe it's totally different. I don't know what I'm talking about. But to me, wearing this thing that still doesn't seem like a huge issue. I feel like I could still totally see myself moving with the joystick, looking around with my head. It becomes like it's foreign when you put it on, but it becomes second nature almost immediately. Like because it's literally like you're there. So like you adjust. You don't see the edges of the screen at your peripheral because they go beyond that, and so you adjust almost immediately. And so you're just like it's just like you're looking around, and so you're looking side to side with your eyes, but you're moving your head if you need to, and so it's very easy to adjust to and get accustomed to, like very quickly. It didn't take long.
Neat.
So I don't know, man. It's really cool. Like I feel like I just rambled a lot, but it's really cool. And I'm lucky that it was a bad weather day that I got to try it because cool. It probably would have been a long line otherwise. But
need to find a place to do that out here.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So like that's the other thing we said as we were walking away, like because Cecilia was like, "That's really cool," and like if more people knew about it, I feel like more people would be getting this. Especially like the Gear VR is not that expensive compared to the other ones.
Sure.
And they need stations like Target and Walmart and like like these places like arcades and stuff like that. Like they need to set Best Buy, like they need to set up demo stations. Like you've got the Wii U and the PS4 and whatever else like where you can demo games. Like they need to set up demo stations so that people can try it, so people can see how awesome it is, and then like if people like something enough, they'll find a way to buy it.
Sure.
That's just a thing. And
yeah, that's what you do.
I feel like the problem with VR is going to be getting across how awesome it is to people, because you can sit and listen to me talk about it for however long I've talked about it and still be like, well, he really likes it and I'm sure it's cool, but whatever. And until you try it, like you're not going to know.
I'm excited because I know where you started when it comes to this, and to see and hear you talk now really ups the excitement for me where I started at. So I think the key is going to be them sending out demo kits to like at least Best Buys or something like that. It's like you would think they
just so people can see it and try it. And the whole like the sanitation thing, to me, that's like I didn't think twice about it before I put that thing on my head. I know other people have had it on their heads. Like they probably wiped it off, and like if you're really that concerned about it, you can carry like alcohol wipes and like or wet wipes or whatever and wipe it off.
You have your own sanitizer in your pocket.
But to me, it's really no different than picking up a controller that a million other people have held or whatever. Like, so yeah, I think they just need to set up demo stations to let people try it.
Cool.
But I get it.
Neat. That's exciting to hear. All right. So obviously Dave is not going to make it the way it seems, unfortunately. So we're going to skip the Game Scoops 20 questions yet again this week. I got a good one. I think I got a real good one.
All right.
We'll save it for next time. But that brings us to quickly the topics that interest us. And we have two this week. I see you added the second one. Maybe we should save that one for – well, we got to talk about it. We have to.
Yeah, it's happening this weekend, so I figured
we have to.
We got to say something.
All right, first one from Andy Complin. His second topic that he gave us. What is a canceled game that you really wanted to see and were bummed out that it was canceled?
Do you have one in mind? Because immediately when I read this question last week, one came to mind for me.
Me too. I wonder if it's
really
the same one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I doubt that it's the same one, but it might be.
Yeah, one came to mind immediately when I read this.
So, and it's serendipitous that we're doing this the day before.
Then it is the same one.
Okay, great. So this game got it was announced, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Star Wars
and everything. Yep.
That's awesome that we both thought of the same one. So, like for years, I have said like it would be awesome if we got like a gritty, like realistic, like super, like just hardcore Star Wars game, right? And like we can, like it's a great first person shooter, and like it's got a decent storyline, but it's also like it's kind of dark and not as cartoony and light as a lot of the Star Wars games end up being. As great as some of them are, but Star Wars 13, there was concept art and there was like a storyline, and like this game was in development. Like this game was happening.
Yeah, there were screenshots, there was video.
And from what I remember, the storyline was that you were a bounty hunter.
You're Boba Fett.
Okay, and
Early years Boba Fett.
1313 referred to a level of a city,
Coruscant.
And like that was like the slum, like that was the rough part of town, and like the real bad part of town.
Yeah, it was Boba Fett's story of him becoming the bounty hunter that we see in Jedi.
There you go.
The top dog.
Freaking awesome game, and it needs to get made. And
did you play Bounty Hunter was that PlayStation 2?
I never played it.
You were Boba Fett, like Jedi Boba Fett, packing around and shooting things and doing bounties and stuff. A lot of fun for a PlayStation 2 version, but
yeah. This game had me really excited for a long time, and then like it was tortured in development for a long time.
Well, and then Disney,
and then when Disney bought all that LucasArts stuff and like closed a lot of that down, they scratched a bunch of projects, from my understanding.
Yeah,
and that was one of them. And what's her face? The
Hennig. Nancy Hennig.
Yeah. She basically said like it's dead for good. Like that's not happening. Because people were asking. Like they had retained some of the LucasArts titles and properties that were in development. Like those are still kind of in limbo, and they haven't really done anything with them. But
yeah, she's making for EA now. They're making a Star Wars game of some kind.
Yeah,
probably story narrative driven, but
right. But she at some point she said 1313 is dead. That one's not happening. And that was really sad to me.
Me
that
too.
Game looked awesome.
That's funny that we thought the same thing.
Yeah, and literally immediately when I saw that question, I was like, Star Wars 1313.
Yep.
Good absolutely. Question. I love Shadows of the Empire. Which I played on 64. I think it might have been on PlayStation 2. PlayStation as well, not PlayStation 2. And I do that a lot. And Rogue Squadron is still one of my favorite games. Love that game. And it was going to be cool to see like a grown-up Star Wars game.
Yeah, gritty.
Yeah.
Yep. Good one. All right, and then our second one, because of this weekend, is the big Marvel movie, the blockbuster movie for the summer, Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
I posted this on the Uncanny Comics Facebook page a week ago or so, and I'll probably do it again later this week. But yeah, everyone needs to choose Team Iron Man or Team Cap.
There's no in between.
No, you must. And without seeing the movie, it's kind of hard to make a choice. Well, my choices are based off the comic. But. Yeah,
like if you know the comic storyline, you probably already have an opinion. And so it's funny for me. Well, I guess so in case people don't know the storyline of the comic. So basically what's happening is during a raid, I think, of like a building or a house where there were some villains that had just escaped from, I think, Rikers Island. This raid was televised, and so
it was a reality show.
Oh, that's right. It was a reality show.
It was younger mutants and superheroes that were doing a reality show.
Yeah, because it was people that were discovering superpowers and stuff like that, and they put out like a call, and so they started a reality show, and so like these villains escaped from Rikers Island. They were holed up in this house or this building or something, and there was a raid on this building. And so these villains were trying to escape, and Nitro, I think, was the one that did it, but like there was an explosion that killed most of the superheroes that were like part of this reality show, as well as a bunch of children at a nearby school.
Yeah, like a bus. It exploded and a bus blew up and killed those kids.
So because of this, there was an initiative put forth, which was the Superhuman Registration Act, which basically means that anybody with superpowers has to register themselves with the U.S. government so that we can keep an eye on them and so that we can know what they do and to keep everybody safe, because obviously we need to know if these people are among us. And so the danger where the divide comes in is that Tony Stark is absolutely, like everyone needs to be registered. Well, Tony Stark is already unmasked. Like everybody knows Tony Stark is Iron Man. He doesn't have anything to lose in this. And he's like super rich anyway. And so he's pretty well insulated. And so Tony Stark is like, absolutely, this needs to happen. And Captain America, Steve Rogers, is saying, no, this infringes on our rights as
citizens,
people and citizens of the United States. And this is not okay, just because, like, you know, most of us, all of us, didn't choose these abilities or superhuman traits or whatever. This just happened. And we're going to be targeted for a bunch of different things. And like, people are going to treat us differently. And, you know, our friends and family are going to be in danger if people know who we are. And so we can't register. And so that's the spark
for the comics, yes,
yeah, that ignited the Civil War. And so there ended up being a huge divide. And so there's Team Cap, which has, like, you know, the superheroes that sided with him, and there's Team Iron Man, which had the superheroes that sided with him. And there's more that goes into it, obviously. Like, there's a lot more socio-political issues and like issues between characters that play into this whole thing, but that's the spark for the whole storyline of Civil War.
And I think that's, again, the way it seems. I haven't watched all the trailers. I tried to stay away after the first one. But it seems that may be involved to a point, the registration, but it seems that the sparking point is more Bucky in the movie version. But
from what I'm gathering, though, and the only other trailer other than the very first one that they put out that I've seen is the one that Dave and I were telling you about.
Yeah.
And so, like, I won't talk about that one because you didn't watch that one on purpose. Right. But from what I'm gathering, like, because that one didn't deal really with Bucky hardly at all. But from what I'm gathering is that Bucky may be like a scapegoat. Sure. Like, it still may be the same issues, but Bucky's being used as a scapegoat for some of this stuff. So it's funny for me, though, because I was definitely Team Cap in the comics. I was like, yeah, absolutely. These people need to be protected. And there's, you know, da-da-da-da. And for some reason, maybe the way they're spinning it in the movie or whatever, like, from what I've seen, I'm like, the movie version, I'm like, I'm totally Team Iron Man, I think.
I think
I'm with Tony.
Based on his team? The people on his
team?
No,
not the people on his team, just the way they're the way they're spinning the politics of it. Like, because Iron Man, especially after Age of Ultron, and like, you know, he built this sentient AI that
killing machine, right?
It was supposed to protect us, and like, it ended up being a killing machine. And like, at the end of the day, right? If it's like gun registration is the way I look at it. And like this, it really, like, it parallels a lot of American politics. And so I don't want to get too deep into it, but
right.
It's kind of like gun registration in that, like, if you're a law-abiding citizen and like you're following the law, like, you can still buy a gun, right? And like, you can still own a gun if you're a law-abiding citizen. And like, then the argument is, well, more gun control means it's harder for law-abiding citizens to get weapons, and criminals won't follow the law anyway. And so they're going to have weapons, and you're making it harder for law-abiding citizens to get weapons. And so, like, to me, it kind of parallels that a little bit, as well as like there are some race issues involved, and like, it parallels a lot of those socio-political issues. But to me, it's kind of the same thing as like a lot of the gun control issue. And so, to me, at the end of the day, if every superhero, like every law-abiding superhero, is registered, like, everybody knows. So like, the fact that, like, oh, my friends and family are in danger, no, at the end of the day, really, no, they're not, because everybody knows who everybody is at this point. And the only people that aren't registered then are criminals, and like, they're not following the rules anyway. Like, they're not law-abiding citizens anyway. Right. So everybody's in danger from them. But, you know, like, if everybody's registered, that threat kind of goes away. And the fact that, like, you may be treated differently, or like, people may keep an eye on you, is something, like, if you're a superhero, that's something you're gonna have to deal with anyway. Like, just suck it up and deal with it. But in the comics, I felt totally different, and I think it was the way they spun it in the comics and the way they built up to it. I felt like, well, this is a huge invasion of privacy, and like, it's, you know, they have rights too, and like, all this stuff. So I don't know, like, I don't know if it's just the way the movies have built the universe versus the way the comics built the universe.
Yeah,
but
which they're different for sure.
Yeah.
So you're definitely Team Iron Man.
Yeah, I like, until seeing the movie, like, going into the movie, I think I'm Team Iron Man. Coming out of it, I may feel differently.
Yeah, Cap's always been one of my favorites, and I've heard people say that he's too it's almost like Superman. There's no flaws. He's too good.
He's too Boy Scout.
Right. But even like in Ultron, he says, well, maybe you just haven't seen my dark side yet.
Yeah.
As he rips a log in half with his bare hands. But yeah, I'm definitely Team Cap. And if I'm not gonna. It's fun to debate these things, and they're not real in their movies. But
yeah,
I read a quote, and this might be from the movie. I'm not sure. It might be from the comic. I don't remember. But Cap says something about if you let the government register and have the say so on who's allowed to be a superhero and who isn't based on their registration, you're allowing the government to decide who the villains are.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, giving his whole point is, and he can even bring it back to World War II with, Cap, which is what his kind of origins are, is anytime a government tells you what you can and cannot do to, if you're just an American citizen, law-abiding citizen, and you happen to wear a mask, regardless if it hides your identity or not, but if you happen to be this masked hero that saves people, who is the government to say, well, you have to run that by us first before we let you save that bus from going in the river, or before we let you save those people from that burning house? You have to be registered, and if you do that while not being registered, well, then you have to go to jail.
Yeah, I get both sides of it, and I think so. I've been catching up on Daredevil, also
the show or the comic.
The show.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm almost finished with season 2, and these issues play into season 2 a lot. Like they did obviously in the first one, because he's a vigilante by night and a lawyer by day.
Right.
And those two things, for Matt Murdock in general, like always, those two things have been at odds, and so he has to reconcile them. And so it's a little bit in season 1, he has to tell Foggy at one point that, or maybe that's in season 2. He has to tell Foggy, but whatever. So in season 2 though, they play on that storyline a lot, where he's trying to justify what he does at night,
right,
versus being by the book lawyer by day,
right,
and how those two things can live together side by side, and how you can justify those things. And then you've got the Punisher, who doesn't have the no kill rule, but he's basically doing the same thing. And Matt Murdock even kind of realizes that at one point, they're one and the same, except Matt doesn't kill his enemies and the Punisher does. And so and the cops are have come to accept that Daredevil is in Hell's Kitchen and he does his thing. We still don't like him, but he does mostly
the vigilante things.
Yeah, sometimes he screws things up, but at the end of the day, he's still a vigilante, and he's not government sanctioned, and he's not the law, right?
He's doing it outside of the law.
Yeah, and so anybody that's doing this is outside of the law. And
yeah, you're right.
So, and so I think that kind of plays into this whole thing too.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Maybe that's informing.
Just give them badges. Give all of them badges.
Right?
Part of the police department.
But then that would involve the government knowing
who they are,
these people.
Yeah.
And sanctioning them.
You're okay and you're not okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Scarlet Witch, I don't know. You're a little scary. I don't think you should be able to be in the law.
Well, to that reasoning, the Punisher, Frank Castle most likely would not get a badge. He's obviously a little bit unbalanced. And he's homicidal. He's homicidal, and he doesn't do things the way I think that the law would want them done. And so, but he's, depending on how you want to look at it, he's doing good. He's getting rid of bad guys.
Sure.
And he's killing off people that are a danger to society. And so, but he's doing it his way.
Yeah. Without
repercussions
or any kind of consequences.
Right.
Good one. That was a good one. I wish Dave were here to talk about it too, but it had to be done, had to be talked about, and that's a good conversation. We'll have to do a Civil War spoiler cast like we did with Batman and like we did with Star Wars.
Yeah, we really should.
Yep.
I'm really hoping that I get to see it this weekend. I'm not positive that's going to happen, but I really hope I do.
I'll probably hopefully be next week sometime. My birthday's next week. So hopefully I'll be able to swing something that day or around that day. So.
All right.
But Free Comic Book Day is coming up this weekend, so I won't be able to do this weekend. I'll be Saturday, Free Comic Book Day. Stop by your local comic book shop for your free comics.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us this week. It's 2 weeks in a row with just Josh and Chad. Hopefully we'll get Dave and his crazy schedule back on the podcast here next week and going forward. He is in America now, so that's good.
Yeah, I sympathize with him. There was a time when I was traveling with the same band, actually, and I missed out. Yeah, I missed out on several weeks of podcasting because of that. So I get it. It sucks.
Yeah,
like there were nights when I would try to podcast in the van on our way to places, and like my background noise and all that stuff was just too bad. And connection was bad, and so I had to give up on it. But yeah, I sympathize. I feel bad, but
that's all right. You got to make that money. You got to do what you got to do to pay the bills. So
that's true.
We don't hold it against him at all. Hopefully he'll be here next week, and we can continue things on. So, all right. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for this week. Thanks for listening. As always, don't forget this is your last week to go ahead and register to win the Uncharted 4. It is a physical copy, so hopefully you're okay with that. It is free, remember, so you're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
We will get that out to you. We will do the drawing May 9th for the winner, and May 10th it will be sent to you or handed to you if you live where I live. And thanks, as always, for listening and liking us and all the things that you do. We appreciate it, and it makes it fun to do this podcast.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week. All righty, sir.